I think Google and Alphabet have won the AI race over ChatGPT, and their announcement of a universal commerce protocol, I think, is really the nail in the coffin. At the end of the day, these artificial intelligence tools, the models, the companies building all of this infrastructure have to have a way to make money. ChatGPT has not shown the ability to make money. They've got a lot of users, but their losses are absolutely astounding, and they're looking to spend over $1 trillion of not only their money, but also their infrastructure partners' money over the next 5 or 6 years. How exactly are they going to pay that back when their business has shown that they don't have the ability to generate positive operating cash flow, much less free cash flow? Google, on the other hand, is now taking market share. Gemini is growing faster than ChatGPT. And they're leaning into their distribution advantages, not only with Google, but with Android, with Gmail. Google has billions of users on multiple products, including a product like YouTube, where you're watching this today. Now, none of this should be a surprise for asymmetric investors because in September 2023, I made this one of the stocks in the asymmetric portfolio. Since then, shares are up 157%. Alphabet was doubted back then, but they still had a massive distribution advantage, and that's what they're leaning into with all of these announcements. I'm going to go through some of those today, but this is the kind of momentum that we want to see from asymmetric investments, where you could get potentially a 10x return over the next 10 years. Alphabet was a phenomenal buy in 2023, in 2024, in parts of 2025, when it was trading for 15, 16 times earnings. Now the stock's gotten a little bit more expensive, but the momentum for the business is stronger than ever. Today, I'm going to dig into why I think the latest 2 announcements, not only the commerce protocol, but also the announcement that Apple is going to be running Siri with the Gemini model. These are going to be massive for Alphabet long-term. My name is Travis Hoyam. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. If you want more from me, including all my stock picks like Alphabet back in 2023, check out Asymmetric Investing, my newsletter. That's where I'm doing in-depth research and building the asymmetric portfolio, where I buy stocks once a month and show how you can build wealth with a relatively small but regular commitment to investing in asymmetric stocks. Now let's dig into this universal commerce protocol. And I think the easiest way to look at this is this blog announcement that Google put out. So they give some examples here, but they're unlocking retail with a new open standard. Now, the way to think about this is, how are we going to be shopping in the future? How are things going to change from currently, where you maybe search for something with Google search, maybe you click on an ad on a social media platform, maybe that's Twitter or Instagram, but those are the discovery mechanisms for shopping today. Those companies are going to make money on advertisements. How does that change in the future with the advent of agents? Well, this is at least Google's try at this, and their universal commerce protocol has a wide range of partners. And one of the things I want you to notice here is that it's not just retailers. Of course, you have retailers like Target, Walmart, Wayfair, Etsy. Shopify is obviously going to be much smaller retailers, but you also have payment platforms. So Visa, Stripe, that's going to be critical if this is going to be a true protocol, because what Google wants to lean into is the fact that they are the discovery mechanism for billions of users all around the world. If ChatGPT was going to become that discovery mechanism, that was going to be the real disruption to Google's business. What Google wants to do is head that off and say, you know what, before you start shopping in ChatGPT, we want you to start shopping on Google just the way you do today, maybe just a little bit differently. So you can go back to what ChatGPT and OpenAI announced last year, and this is shopping within ChatGPT. Now, what they were really trying to do was lean into people using ChatGPT to search for products, find those products, and then check out. All of that happened within ChatGPT. Late in the year, they even announced shopping research. So kind of taking that to the next level. I want to do a little bit of work, figure out what the best product is for me. That's a really compelling option. But again, it's within this walled garden of ChatGPT. The idea behind this universal protocol, and we'll see how this plays out, is that there's going to be multiple tools that Google is going to help build with AI, kind of connecting all these pieces together. And then retailers are going to be able to pick and choose which one they want to use. So this is a lot like they have with their advertising tools today. You don't have to advertise everywhere. You can choose exactly where you want to advertise. You may use Google Cloud. You may use the G Suite. There's all kinds of different products. You don't have to use all of them. They will work together. But Google is leaning into the fact that this is the biggest game in town. And they think that even if these things are open, they're going to be the ultimate winner. So let's go through exactly what this looks like. And the example that they give here, I'm not going to go through the text, but the example that they give is making a search on Google. They're showing this on a mobile device, but this is the Google app. So you're going into AI mode, and then they're giving you an answer, and then you can actually click on that product. It opens up a shopping tab, and then you can go in and actually check out. And this is really the key thing here, is the identity solution belongs to Google. So you're signing in with your Google account, and then when you go to checkout, then you're going to go to something like Google Pay. So again, all of these products working together. They're also talking about agents. How can you build agents into some of these products? So the example that they're giving here, you search for Lowe's. Now you can chat with Lowe's from within search. So again, They're tools that are being built on top of Google search and Google's other distribution platforms. And again, the identity belongs to Google. The checkout, the merchant of record, is ultimately the retailer that they're working with. So Lowe's in this case. But Google wants to be that discovery mechanism, whether you're using Google search, whether you're using an AI agent, or even whether you're shopping on one of these platforms, or even new platforms. And this is one of the things that they talked about, is developers can use some of these tools as well. So maybe you build some kind of new shopping app, you can plug into the Universal Commerce Protocol. Direct offers is another thing that they said that they're adding. So again, something similar that we've seen. If you shopped on something like Instagram, you go in and you go, you know what, we're going to offer 20% off for new customers. That's something you can find here. The interesting thing here is, again, when you click on some of these products, this is going to be sponsored. You see this right here? Sponsored deal. So how is Alphabet and Google going to make money? They're going to make money on sponsorship. They're going to charge for some of these things since they are the owner of the customer. The customer is coming to Google products to do their shopping. That ultimately puts them in a power position. That's why they're an aggregator in the market. And again, these merchants are going to be happy to play ball and pay for those leads because they don't have to find those customers themselves. And there's a direct tie to that sale actually happening. This is always one of the challenges with commerce. How do you know that you have a customer with high intent who is actually going to make a purchase? Well, if all of that is happening within all of these products, within AI agents, whatever you want to call it, they are more than happy to say, you know what? If I'm selling a rug in this example, I am selling this rug for $200. I know exactly what my margin is. I'm willing to pay $30 for that lead. I'm still going to have an incremental profit because of that. But that's how Google is going to ultimately make money. All of this makes a ton of sense. And again, the reason that I think this is such a big deal for OpenAI and ChatGPT is Google has got its act together. They're figuring out how to use these massive distribution platforms, these massive surface areas that they have of customers using their products every single day, the things that we are used to searching for now just a click away with AI mode or with Gemini. They could head off the growth that ChatGPT had by introducing these kinds of products. That's why this is so disruptive. That's why I think Google is going to continue their momentum that they have right now. This is why this is one of my biggest positions in the asymmetric portfolio. And this is why I think it's such a big deal for the OpenAI ecosystem. It's not just OpenAI, it's all of their infrastructure partners, Oracle, CoreWeave, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. They are all building on the back of ChatGPT's growth. If Google takes some of that growth away, that is going to be bad for all of those companies. Let's go to the other big thing, and that is Apple picking Google's Gemini to run their AI-powered Siri coming later this year. The reporting is that Apple's going to be paying about $1 billion to use Gemini for the revamped Siri. Basically, Apple has not figured out a way to improve Siri in a way that they really need to. So they're going to be leaning on Google for that. And their foundation models, they're going to be tuning those models and actually running the models either on device or in their own cloud. So this is not going to be a cost center for Google. And the interesting thing here is that we're going from a world where people who are searching on search and actually making purchases and Google generating revenue from ads on iOS devices, Google was paying for those leads. That bill that they're paying Apple is about $25 billion per year. Now we're taking some of that and we're moving it to Siri, where now it's Apple who is paying Google. So this could be a boon in multiple directions for Google. It also shows just what a big lead is, because who's the original partner with Apple? It was ChatGPT. So now Siri, the interaction that Apple wants you to have on an ongoing basis, they want you to be able to have AirPods in and just speak with its AI, speak with Siri. That, instead of becoming something that feeds then ultimately to ChatGPT, it's now going to feed more likely into Google. I think this is phenomenal news for Google's investors, for Alphabet investors. This is the kind of progress that I have wanted to see. And the ultimate goal here is to keep the users that are already using Google today from migrating over to ChatGPT. I think this is going to be the kind of thing that does that. The other thing that you do just as a byproduct is you starve OpenAI from money. OpenAI does not have a sustainable business model yet to be able to fund their ongoing model development and the ongoing operations of ChatGPT itself. Google obviously has the money to do that. So they can basically bludgeon the competition with their cash flow and balance sheet. That has always been the thesis for Alphabet. That's why I've been so excited about the stock over the past couple of years. If you're a follower here on YouTube or Asymmetric Investing, you know how much I have liked Alphabet stock. This is playing out exactly like I would have hoped. But let me know what you think about the future of AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of these products coming from Google. Leave those comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.